So hey everybody, this is Peter Robbins from Armchair Dragoons. We do this occasionally, but we mostly write articles about games. This game in particular, Battleplan, I thought, for lack of a better term, or lack of a better phrase, deserved to be spoken about a little bit more. There's a lot here. When there is a first impression, we did a first impression from the most recent press copy on the site. So you might, after you all watch this, you might want to go back and look at what I first thought. I honestly wanted to talk to Michael. This is Michael Long, the developer from Foolish Mortals development team, and then the producer is Slytherin, correct? Right?
That's right.
Just wanted to make sure because sometimes there's Slytherin, sometimes there's Matrix, but this is a Slytherin title. So why don't you just first of all introduce yourself, Michael? Just kind of how did you get this? How did you get?
Sure thing. So hi, I'm Michael Long. I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, so middle of nowhere, Canada, and I run our small indie video game studio called Foolish Mortals. I've been doing this about full time for about 8 years now, and we've made a number of mostly strategy games. I mean, I jump between genres because I'm crazy, but mostly strategy games have been our big ones. But we have released on PC, Xbox, Wii, Switch, mobile as well. So we've kind of done everything. But I think like the big game that's relevant to this one is our previous game, Radio General, which I guess if you see, I got the shirt right now.
I've played it. I played. There are multiple versions of that. There's a Vietnam.
So yeah. There's another game called Radio Commander that does the U.S. and Vietnam. But I made Radio General, which covers the Canadians during the Second World War. And so that was like a historical war game. It's very innovative in that you actually use the microphone to talk to your troops, and you say, "Able, move to E3. Baker,
yes.
Charlie, fire artillery." That sort of thing.
First of all, thank you for correcting me. But I've heard about your game in reference to being better than the other one. Thank you.
Well, I certainly like to think so. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So how?
We made Radio General a number of years ago, and I mean, is like had a more historical, very historical World War II bent. We also made a mobile game called Real Time General that was way too ambitious. In that one, use your mobile phone, and you actually played out the entire Normandy campaign over 2 months in real time on your phone. And the way that worked was that you would tap on you'd have companies and say, company, able company, walk to here. And then on the map, it would show your unit walking there. And then you check back in 5 hours in real time to see how well they're doing.
Wow.
Because in that game, walking took as long as it took in real life.
Oh, wow.
So if it took 5 hours to walk there, it took 5 hours in real life. That's a
brilliant game. That's a brilliant idea for a game.
It's a cool idea, but very ambitious. So we basically made those two games, and then I've been in contact with Slytherin for a while, and eventually they said, "Oh, if you ever make another war game, historical war game, we'd love to hear from you." And so we pitched this to them, and so now they're publishing this game, and we're working on Battleplan. It's looking good.
That's cool. That's good. It's always good to end up with a good producer relationship, and they're some of the best in the industry. So I'm not going to say just why Western Front over anything else. Like why Normandy?
Well, it's the one that I'm most familiar with. Of that, I already covered these battles in Radio General, so I'm very familiar. I've read a lot of textbooks on the subject area. Also, I'm Canadian, so I like making missions about the Canadian Army, and so the Canadian Army fought mostly on this Western frontier. In fact, some of these missions will feature like most other games don't cover, like the Channel ports, or the Battle of the Scheldt was like off primarily, mostly Canadian units doing this stuff. And most games don't cover these, so that's very interesting to me. Also, additionally, we could reuse some assets and code from Radio General of we've got historical photos. So if we actually look in the arc, I'm just going to turn on debug mode, and so we get all the photos. So we have all these historical photos, and we can actually reuse some of them from our previous games. So here, let's sure, I guess.
I thought just in general, I thought that was a brilliant, nice little touch. Not many games do that.
That's right.
It's a very educational. It's a surprisingly educational game. Not that I didn't think it would be in some way, but yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So here's a photo that I really like. So this is from Radio General. So we just like took a lot of the same Canadian photos and just included them. So it's, there you go. And so all these photos here are they're either from Library and Archives Canada or U.S. National Archive, Congressional Library, or the German archives as well. And they're all public domain because all these photos were taken by the governments generally over 75 years ago. So they're all public domain. So it's great that we put them in. And actually, when we play the mission, we actually do include a location. So actually, if I click right here, it actually opens a Google Map pin. And this is like exactly where the photo was taken, like in Falaise, France.
That's because cool. I think I ran into that. I was like, oh, that's cool. But
and you'll see in mission, we actually like put them on pin them onto the map where they are in mission as well. So
that's what I was going to mention. That I remember during playthrough, I was like, wait a minute, what is that? And I was just pleasantly surprised. It's just different. It's unique.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess the reason is that we can reuse some assets and photos from our previous games. I'm also more familiar with these battles, and I'm also Canadian, so that's why the Western Front. Also, I guess it's a safer bet to play as the Allies. Playing as the Germans does have some complications for some people of playing as them.
Yeah, sure.
So it is a safer bet.
It's market. There is marketing involved with this, of course. So it's a very unique design. We'll get into. I'm sure we'll get into. I don't know if you want to do Cherbourg or whatever mission you want to do. If you want to do a Canadian centric one, by all means. A deceptively simple interface. So did Battleplans? Did you have a pretty? Does what we have right now match what you were originally intending?
Yeah. The high level idea of the game was to basically draw lines on maps and then watch your little tiny units scurry around like ants and carry out your orders. And I could just I could actually do I could do whichever mission you like. I guess the earlier ones are more polished.
Okay, yeah, whichever one you think is most
Khan's pretty exciting. So we can do that one. Though I might need some more units, so I added a tutorial and stuff. Oh no. I added a tutorial, and now I need to go through my own tutorial, which is a pain in the ass.
You can
there you go.
Can't you just use the historical units? I thought there was a button to do that.
Well. I just want to recruit some more formations before we go in.
Right.
Oh no, I need more requisition. Actually, we should be fine. Okay, so let's try it. So these are primarily Canadian units.
Those look like they're in health issues.
There are actually. I mean, we actually are going to have to reconnect some of them. So let's just make.
Well, you can explain a little bit of this while we're here. I mean, you might explain some of this reorganization.
Basically, what I'm doing right here is being very messy. So here is my army. This is the entirety of my army, and we got this nice chain of command interface. And so you can see here that I have a number of officers. And officers have some traits. These traits affect certain types of units. I guess they have a personality trait that has both a good and a bad thing. Of his personality is relentless. He doesn't care as much about defense, but man, is he fast. He wants to push his units very hard. He also has some other skills, and these skills are up in this very big skill tree, kind of like Path of Exile, if you play that.
Oh, interesting.
So here. He started with this randomized skill. So he is an infantry officer. So he says dismounted infantry gain +3% defense and +5% morale. So these are minor bonuses, but as you gain levels, they will definitely add up over time. So we start there. And since he starts with this skill here, once I gain a level, I can just, there we go, just level him up a little bit. I'm just going to cheat a little bit. We now can expand throughout the skill web. And so I'm going to get this active skill Fortified Line, which will let us basically urge our troops to dig fortifications faster. And let's just get that skill. I'm not going to read these too much.
Do any of these open up actually new order types as well?
Yeah, I guess not large scale orders. They all know how to seize ground or break through attack.
Right.
But this skill here is an officer skill. And then what that means is that when I activate it, my officer will literally drive down his Jeep to an area, and then it says all idle units within radius will rapidly construct better fortifications. He will personally drive down to the front lines and supervise building fortifications. And so this is a one-time ability that can be used within the mission. And it kind of gives you a bit more to do between the planning phases. That was the idea.
Sure. Yeah.
So there are some active skills that your officers will be able to do. And the nice thing about these is that they kind of offer a nice risk reward of like, it can be powerful ability. However, it actually involves moving your officer down to the front lines. And that means that if the enemy attacked, he could be killed or wounded.
Yeah.
So generally they want to stay farther away.
And you potentially lose all that experience and have to assign somebody else.
That's right. So this skill web's pretty large. So we have some generalized just skills in the middle of just like these affect all units. The stuff on the left here affects armor, vehicles, and tanks. The stuff on the right's infantry. This stuff is support guns. Down here is aircraft. And then up here is like the mechanized infantry up here. So officers will gain veterancy and gain skills and level up and get more skills, and they will become more skilled. So there we go. We actually just got the prompt saying, so our officer, he now has these new skills, and these will apply to all units under his command. So I guess the 3rd Canadian Division has an experienced officer right now. We can also hire some new officers if we need them. So you can take a look at their randomized stats. So if I we can have an armor officer. Let's just recruit him. Sounds good. And now it's giving me the tutorial, which is a pain in the ass. So yeah, let's just drag this officer down and assign him to some unit. I guess we'll just replace this guy.
Yeah, I remember being able to skip the tutorials no matter what, if I'm not mistaken.
There we go. So yeah,
okay.
So and you can also customize this chain of command. So we could just cover officers. Each unit, each division is basically arrayed like how a real division is in real life. You have a headquarters unit at the top that contains your high-level officer. There obviously are like other officers, but we're only going to show the big ones. There's then 3 infantry regiments as a part of this infantry division. So you can see here that there's another headquarters of this regiment, and this regiment here has 3 infantry battalions and then an anti-tank gun company. And so right now these regiments are all the same. But if you wanted to, you could completely change what's inside each regiment. So for example, say, you know what? I don't want my anti-tank guns embedded into an infantry regiment. I want them to be their own standalone formation. So I'm just going to detach him there and just put him over here. And now he's basically a top level organizational unit instead of being embedded with the infantry regiment. So we could just make kind of
is the AI enough to know that and use it differently as such? And
the units will be positioned. So generally, if they're part of a regiment or a group, they'll try to stick with their siblings, I call them. Whereas here, now these anti-tank guns will kind of not be embedded with their siblings as much. So probably you do want to keep the default arrangement, but you certainly can do whatever you like.
The one thing I ran into a little bit, and again, anything I say negatively, this is a beta. A couple things. The one thing I noticed is that the divisions were generally small. Is that potentially a Canadian? I don't want to say that. That doesn't sound right.
Yeah. I guess the reason that like the numbers, I think like roughly they're like 5,000 in-game troops. Each company is 150 men. I guess the reasoning is that although on paper a division may be 10,000, you wouldn't actually have 10,000 guys in the battle, or at least ready to fight. Like each battalion actually like would have a 4th company, but that's generally considered the reserve company.
Right.
There's also a whole bunch of administration units that we don't model. We don't put those in. But certainly we may increase the number. We may increase the number in future, but you're right. They are smaller than what's historically on paper. That's
good.
Right.
I knew there was probably a reason. That's why I wanted to ask. The other thing I ran into, again, this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this interview. I ran into occasionally you'll paint yourself into a corner. In some cases, you don't know you need, like if you don't, I think it could be that the fact that I was skipping, when I was doing the press review, I was skipping missions here and there. I was building my army up, but occasionally we get in a situation where you don't have what you need. So I don't.
We'll definitely give you more. I guess we call it requisition. That's just basically money in the corner that you use to recruit units. We're going to give you more. We're going to be more forgiving. We're also going to be more opaque about when slotting units. So if we go to con, let's go to con here. you can slot basically each division as a weight, and that determines
Right.
how many units you can bring to the battle. And that's how this flexible command system works. If actually, if you wanted to, you could create a mega corps, like just one
Yeah.
giant unit that contains everything. So like this 6th Airborne could actually also have this infantry division, and now all of a sudden it's this giant unit right here. You can see here that has 91, groups, and has a 266 weight versus the other smaller weights. So the way that we handle that of units, players can make arbitrarily sized groups, is we have this weight system. So you can only bring so much weight, and generally tanks take more logistical weight to deploy than infantry. So like there's only so much supplies we can bring to the table here.
Yeah, I think if you add just a little extra wiggle room, I think
that's right.
That would do it. Yeah.
And let's have they're a little bit wounded there. Oh yeah. Oh, is it still big?
And as far as the reinforcements availability, is there I didn't. I don't think I got to a point where I experienced that appropriately when I was doing the review. How are those reinforcements brought in, and what
Yeah, right now they aren't shown very well.
Okay.
Basically, it depends on the scenario. It completely depends on the scenario. We definitely need to put like a better icon saying like it's this unit is going to show up in 24 hours at this spot, and we'll put like a little like map icon pin with like a timer counting down.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
And this basically con is basically just like after day 2, they just start showing up every single day. So yeah, you can drag in these units and have different slots. Unfortunately, my units are damaged and wounded, and actually I forgot the custom command to give me more money. So you can also just use this toggle here to just say, you know what, I just want to play the battle using what historically was there. And so we can just do that. It's simpler to do that.
Honestly, that's what I ended up doing. I think most people will probably start doing that, but I love I quite frankly, I didn't even know there was a skill tree. I don't know if that's good feedback for you, because I don't know.
It is. Yep. So yeah, we now added the Army Construct tutorial that I was struggling at. It now points out saying, hey, your officer leveled up. You should do this right now. We will. Good. All right, we'll show them that. So yeah, we have here a relatively new briefing. I don't know. Some of our closed beta users will have seen the old ones, which is kind of like a wall of text. We now show a bit more nicety of like we show the officers involved in the battle, some bullet points, and give a little bit of the history of the area as well, because we like that very much. All right. So here's Khan. And did you play this one?
Yes, I had played Cherbourg and Khan.
Yeah. Okay.
Both of which were very enjoyable.
Yeah. So for this one here, basically our objective is just to defend the city of Bayeux. That is our defend. That's our goal right now. It will change once we get more reinforcements. We'll be able to go on the offense, but right now we're a bit outnumbered. So right now this is the deployment phase, and I can just redeploy my units anywhere within friendly territory, anywhere in the blue here. I can just instantly redeploy them because this is before the battle started. So right now we can see my divisions are laid out along the bottom.
And can you show me how you're moving? Can you show me how you're moving that? Because I don't think I did this. Okay. Sure. So I think I took the shortcut. I always use the auto place.
Yeah, auto place will just like intelligently do that. Do it fairly intelligently. But yeah, you press spacebar or press the pencil button down here, and you can choose from a number of orders. Right now, like just the simplest order is just hold line, where you just draw a line, and your guys will just hold that line as best as they can. That's the simplest one.
See, I didn't realize that quite honestly, I didn't realize that in the deployment phase, if you will, pre-start, that was actually doing that. Okay. I did not do that. Okay.
Now, with a little bit of foresight, I know what's going to happen. I also know the history of the level. So we don't have to actually defend this right side very much. I know that the enemy is going to attack Bayeux quite hard. So what we want to do is probably, we can actually use a unit with the tactical withdrawal command. And basically, I'm going to position a unit along this road. And as units fight, they should slowly withdraw on their own back towards friendly forces. We also can use our armor. Generally, they're better suited on a counterattack order. And what that means is that as you lose ground, they will move forward and they will counterattack and send units to go fight. We're going to draw an area, something like that. Actually, did that not? Okay. Let's draw a bit better. A bit better. There we go. So this armored unit, this division, will monitor this zone, and basically, if the enemy takes any territory within, they're going to send out battalions to go fight and try to take them back. I'm going to click Start Mission now, so we're pretty good to go. We do have some air units here, but we don't need to do anything with them quite yet. There, I've now started the mission, and something you'll notice immediately is that our units have now fortified. They've now dug in their trenches and foxholes. So you'll mouse over unit and see 40% fortifications. You can also click on it. Basically, these are companies. If we zoom in, each division is actually made up of a number of companies. So here's the overall division stats. You can see that there's like 400 headquarters personnel, 4,000 infantry personnel. There's anti-tank, artillery. These are all personnel. Or sometimes actually they represent actual guns, which we need to make more clear. Mm-hmm. And then if you zoom in, you actually get to see, here's the actual units. And if you hit spacebar, you get to actually see, again, the full chain of command here, that division.
One question I wanted around that. Like, my assumption, and again, just haven't played it kind of without knowing from the rule manual, it's a literal 1-to-1. Should we be too concerned about what we see? You know what I'm saying? I assumed it was basically a 1-for-1, but is there any guidance you can give as to when you should even intervene, or is it detrimental to do the manual? I know you can right click on it.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Generally the vision of the game is to give high level orders. Like, I just draw an arrow and then just let my guys do their thing until the next planning phase. But you can zoom in and right click on like any individual unit and give them a manual move order. So for example, if I think, actually, this guy here, if I think like this gap is too big, I can manually move one of these paratrooper units, and now he's going to walk there, and he's going to stay there until I tell him not to.
But he will at that point. I think one of my what I didn't understand was, does that basically negate any other aspect of the order for him and only him?
Yeah. So basically, he's gonna do that manual order until you cancel it, and so he will ignore all other orders. That's right.
But otherwise but otherwise they will defend themselves. And
they will still. Oh yeah, every unit will always fight. If the enemy's around, they will fight and they will panic and retreat. They will do some things on their own, but for now, his goal is to. You can see here in the bottom. It says his action is manual move. That's what he wants to do. Is he's heading there. So you can do that, and let's just get started so we can actually see some of the gameplay ticking while I talk.
Yeah, one suggestion for that, again, please, whatever, take it or not, is that if you do that, it like the way you just described it even was you kind of wanted to just really move him, but otherwise he does what he was already asked to do. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like something I can see that being useful for is making a relative position change, but otherwise still, I don't know if there's any way to kind of differentiate that. If you just physically want to put him over somewhere else, it just doesn't. I was trying to figure out when I would do that.
Yeah, agreed. So it's not meant to be like, it's meant to be a fairly minor adjustment. It's basically like if something critical, like you absolutely have to reach in and do something. So for example, if I were to lose the supply depot, but I'm like very close by, I could manually move one company and say, go take that supply depot, urgent order.
You need to go save Private Ryan. All right.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. So we now have something going on here. It looks like a German Panzer division. It looks like the 12th SS Panzer is now smashing into our lines. So we're going to see how well our fortifications hold up. So we can see the fight playing out. If we zoom out a bit higher level, we can see this battle panel right here that if you click on it, zooms in. It does show a number of like total how many active units and casualties there are so far. They are tanks, so they're going to be getting the best of us for now. We're going to see how well our tactical withdrawal works. We have different time periods. Actually, it's a little bit loud.
I'm not hearing it that bad, so just there you go.
Okay,
you're good.
We have different time values here. So we're playing right now at 60 times speed. So every basically one real world second is 60 seconds in the game. So you can see the time. So it's only been like 2 hours since I clicked play. You can go much faster and go 240 times speed, or even the ridiculous 960 times speed, and you can see the time passing very quickly. It all depends on how. How detailed you want to watch.
That was the sweet spot I always found, was that next to warp, but don't go warp. Don't go ludicrous speed.
Don't go ludicrous speed. That's right. And of course, everything you see, this is a beta. We did recently introduce a new territory system, and you'll see like this very nice front line, like bend and change very smoothly. So I think the withdraw order isn't very good right now because we changed the territory system. So it looks like our division is, well, actually, the casualties aren't terrible, but I don't think we're winning this fight. So if we mouse over here, we can see a bit more stats we can see some units fighting. So here's the actual companies that are scurrying about. We can see that if I mouse over like this specific fight right here, this one, sure. It shows like a balance of power and shows this specific skirmish for this specific situation right here. This company is up against, it looks like a medium tank company and some mechanized engineers, but they're being supported by some of our own engineers as well. You can see that there's a little icon here that we're in a town, so our defense is pretty good. If we mouse over our unit here, we can see some stats effects, which again, not final, we're missing some icons and stuff. But basically, we have a town, which increases our defense quite a bit. We have fortifications in a town. So, yeah, so you can see that. There's some other stats here. Generally, you don't need to pay too much attention to these because, again, we're pretty high level. Like, we're actually dealing with, 40 companies at once. So zooming into the situation of any one company isn't super useful. But here we go. So the Germans have finally achieved a breakthrough, a small breakthrough. We can see some of their tank companies have moved forward. And we can see that our reserve armor division is moving forward to engage. Like they've invaded that zone, and now they've kind of kicked the hornet's nest. And now our tanks are scurrying about and will move to engage them. If you don't feel that this fight's going well for our units, you can also order a manual retreat. And so this is also like a high-level order, but this orders the entire division to be like, just get out of there. We don't want to fight anymore. We're taking too many losses.
Where was that again? I'm sorry.
In the bottom left, there's this tiny little flag.
Okay. All right. I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, that's there's lots of stuff that we need to teach you in the tutorial.
Yeah, right.
So while fighting, you can see here, maybe this is a better example. You can see here that So here, I just clicked on the enemy division. We've now fought this enemy division enough that we've revealed some intel from them. Basically, we've captured enough prisoners, interrogated a few officers. We can see that some stats. We now know how many units they have. We now know their supply situation. We basically know everything about them because they're like literally enmeshed in our lines right now. And so this was a very bloody attack initially, so I guess this intel went up quite quickly. We can see that they've taken some losses, and also their supply situation. They're losing 21 tons of supply per hour fighting. So that's very good for us. That means that when their supply bar, when it gets too low, they're going to start taking attrition and combat penalties. So at some point, not yet, if you were the player, you'd want to retreat these guys when they run out of supply, because when they start running out of supply again, they get combat penalties. And if they're completely out of supply, they're going to surrender very quickly. If any enemy shows up, they surrender because they don't have any more bullets or gas or medical supplies or anything like that. So we can see that we literally, because we positioned a whole division in their path, they have punched a hole through, but we're going to hold this attack because we have two divisions blocking their one division. We're going to do just fine. It looks like some of our ordered tactical withdrawal, some of our units did actually fall back to over here, which probably is a little bit too far. Ideally we'd want them to be hanging about closer, but rather than like gets cut off and surrounded, they decided to retreat instead. So that's an example of that order. But again, they probably should end up being, a bit closer. Do you have any questions about what you're seeing?
No, the one thing I remember having just some questions on is visibility to the logistics.
Sure.
What is the best way to approach it? What
Yep.
is, I got the impression that there's a reasonable amount going on, but I didn't necessarily know how to control it, or how to positively affect it, or how I'm negatively affected.
Yeah. So the way logistics works, we do have this long block of text. Supply. Okay. Obviously, we need to work on the codex. There's going to be more tutorials on this. But the way it works is that there's these supply hubs, and they're shown as like these these icons here. We have 2 supply hubs, basically, we have 2 beaches that we've captured. And this means that the allies are receiving 20 and 20 here. Up top, we can see that we're receiving 40 tons of supply per hour are arriving onto the battlefield for our team, for our side.
So do we have any control? I remember in the tutorial we basically, there was a maximum number of supply points, if you will.
That's right.
And that you would place one. But what happens if you have one that's taken over by the enemy and you want to kind of reorganize yourself?
Definitely. So supply globally flows into these supply hubs, and then they move into these supply depots. These depots are these boxes of supplies. We can see this supply depot is 300 tons of supplies. So they go from a hub to a depot. Now, we need to make this much clearer of how do we know, which depot is being filled. Basically, it's based on need. So right now, these 2 depots right here are seeing more use because our units are fighting. They're driving around, they're fighting, they're consuming more supply. So these depots are receiving supplies from the hub at some rate. Again, we need to show you better. We need to do a better job of showing that. And then if you click on any unit, you'll actually see that. So this armored division right here, this basically they're receiving 12 tons of supply per hour from this depot. It's a little bit hard to see. Yeah, you can see here the supply trucks are moving out. And if it was further, you'd actually see like a path between them. Let's see if I could find, maybe it's a little bit hard to see. Yeah,
you're using are you? There's a supply overlay too. I thought that showed.
There is, yeah. Oh, here it is. I found a path. So here we can see that this division over here, we can see that there's a path. Basically, you can see this path and these trucks are moving along. They're trying to basically reach the headquarters of a division to resupply them. So they're driving along this path here and they're resupplying our division. And the main thing that you need to just worry about is make sure you supply depots that's close to where you're fighting. And in this case, these are very close to where we're fighting. So supply is not an issue for our units. Even though our armor is literally driving around and fighting, you can see that we're still in tip-top shape. We have tons of supply just because there's a depot right there. So
air interdiction does play a role in that, I'm assuming?
Yes, we will be adding that. Supply routes will get decreased. We do also want to be able to, you actually can cut off enemy units from being resupplied as well if they're cut off. Right. So here actually, this enemy attack has floundered. The 12th SS smashed into our lines. You can see that they're all just broken. They tried to attack and they all fell back. We basically defeated them. If we were to do a planning session, something we could try doing actually is, we could try it. This is a bit riskier. I can initiate an emergency planning session. Normally they happen once per day, but I'm going to initiate this a bit early. I'm going to turn off the counterattack order of this armored division. And what we're going to do is we can do something called an encirclement order. So I can see there's a lot of broken units right here. If we could order our tanks to literally surround them, we might be able to cut off a good chunk of them and they won't be able to escape. So I'm going to give this encirclement order. And you'll see what this does in a moment. I'm probably using this planning phase. You can issue orders to all of your units. So since I initiated the emergency planning, I should actually give all my units a bunch of orders. I should also order these guys. I think what we'll do is have the tanks do an encirclement, and we'll have our infantry also seize the ground in that area, and then we'll have them afterwards then reform a new line there once they're done that order. Perhaps I should do that in the other order of the tanks do the seize ground instead of the encircle. It's okay. So we're just going to execute that right away, just so I don't forget. We also have some planes over here. I've not been paying any attention to them. They would have helped us. We can use close air support, and so we can just start close air supporting this area, and I can say for how many hours I want them to do it for. Let's just say I want them to strafe those tanks for the next day. So let's just get to it. It looks like we did have some recon planes. They were flying around, and unfortunately, they mostly flew into flak and had to retreat. Eventually, they will rally. And once we do that, I think I probably will give them some aero recon orders. Once they've rallied, I want them to go look at this area and see if there's any supply depots, basically, here.
I remember there being like a global setting almost that affected.
There is here. You can also turn on close air support to just your fighter bombers will automatically come overhead and just do it. Or you can do it manually. We are also going to add an option for just automatic air patrols. They're generally, right now, they're just doing it automatically, but as you saw, sometimes they just get shot at. Obviously, that AI behavior needs to be improved a little bit. We also have this division here. They're holding Bayeux. I guess they're fine where they are. And these other flanks, basically the enemy's dug in. The enemy's infantry division, they're dug in, and so do we. It's basically kind of a stalemate. I don't really think we should push forward. It'd be very bloody. Infantry attacking infantry. I don't think there's much advantage right now to doing that. So let's just finish planning. And take a look how it goes. So our armor should now, they're going to start moving out, and they're going to do encirclement. And these infantry are now going to start just assaulting the positions. We're going to do counterattack and see if we can catch any of these guys in the pocket. We'll see. We can see here that our planes, the close air support's arriving. These planes are now firing. It looks like they do have a little bit of flak in that area, as expected. And yeah, you can also mouse over units to see how well they've been doing so far. We can see that this company here, they've taken 19 casualties today, but they've dealt 31 damage, which is roughly like 1 casualty per damage, basically. So that group, those guys did well. They've been doing well. So we can see here that our armored unit is doing the encirclement. You can see they're actually forming a ring, and you can see that they're pushing along here. If they hurry up, we might catch some of their units. So I'll just turn on fast forward a bit more and see how it goes. So we can see our infantry are pushing into the pocket. Our tanks are trying to get to the back. We're going to see there's still some more mechanized units coming around. So this is an opportunity. You can see our infantry are swarming in like flies. This you could be like, you know what? The encirclement is too slow. I'm going to manually order a few companies to just get in there right now. I need to really close that gap just right now. And we're going to see if they can make it. A good utility of mechanized infantry and tanks is that they're faster moving than infantry. Infantry have to walk.
Are there any any indicators for the individual companies that you have provided that order to? You know what I'm saying? Is there any visual?
Yep.
The fact that is that halo around them a little bit there?
That's right. There's a yellow pulse, and that means that they're receiving a manual order.
Manual order. Okay, thank you. All right.
So I did see 1 or 2 of them. Enemies are surrendering, but it looks like they're just squeezing out of the pocket. I probably, if I'd finessed this a little bit better, I would have caught more of them. Oh well, that's all right.
I thought I saw a unit just pulling a picture. Was that somebody that did some sort of reconnaissance? And there was a right there.
Oh, so that's their general. If we killed him, their whole division would be stunned, and they'd lose his bonuses. So that would be good. So unfortunately, though, I wasn't aggressive. I didn't really push into their lines. I could have done maybe I should have moved the entire armor and try to go further in and then try to cut them off. Instead, we just kind of pushed them out of the pocket for now. But still, we've done plenty of damage. If we take a look at the statistics here, we have a very nice stats screen that shows some nice charts of where's our supply over time, which units has them. We can see how long we've been playing. It looks like the Axis actually more units than we have right now, which is why we're on the defensive. Here's our troops of how many guys we have per country. Here, unfortunately, bugged. We can see that roughly, we've taken the same number of casualties as them, but since they lost an armored division, overall, we're very happy with this trade. Armored divisions are, much more expensive than infantry divisions. Okay, we managed to pull back this pocket. I can now just turn off these manual orders because they got away, so it's okay. So you can see here our units will kind of continue doing. These guys finished their seized ground order, and now they're going to spread out and defend this line. Interestingly, it looks like a few enemy units are strangely behind our lines. Maybe he got cut off there. The scouts, though, however, that is what they do. Scouts just try to poke in and try to get back to your lines. Oh, and look, you can see there, they fell back. Nighttime fell, and they retreated. So that makes sense. Okay, so it sounds like we just got an intelligence report. The 21st Panzer Division is coming to us. So, yeah, defend Bayeux. Got it. We can see some notifications on the right here. It says night falls. We had a battle earlier. We captured actually a whole bunch of enemies, apparently. Very nice. And you can see most of our units are sleeping, resting. So most units will not perform offensive operations during nighttime. They'll move around within your territory, but they won't move into enemy territory during night because night attacks are just too dangerous, too hard. Nobody likes them. So not much is going to happen at night. So I'm going to fast forward just a bit more just to get through that. There is an option to turn on auto fast forward at nighttime as well. Okay. So here, basically 1 full day has passed since I started. We can see that, I suffered this many casualties. Some number of our guys surrendered. And actually, oh, look, they lost more troops. And it looks like we've actually lost no territory because we actually pushed back. So very nice. We can see here that there's these little casualty splats. So you can see that there's a little splat for every casualty lost. So you can see that there's occasional skirmishing along the lines here, but this was definitely the area that people fought in right there. And you can turn that on and off in this option top left here. You can turn on casualties or turn them off.
No, so that doesn't just show up during the report.
Yep, you can turn it on, and also it'll show up automatically at the end of the mission as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're doing very well. I guess what we could do is actually, I don't think we need this supply depot right now. This one's not really doing anything, so I'm going to disassemble it because we have a cap. We have 5 supply depots that we can place, and so if I want to move them around, I have to dismantle one, and then move it somewhere else.
That's the thing. That's the part I didn't know. Okay. All right.
Yep. So I guess so far our armor division doesn't have to maintain the circle. I'd probably just move them back to what we were doing. We don't exactly know where the enemy is going to attack. We know the 21st Panzer's on their way, but we don't know where. So I'm just going to actually give a much bigger order of I don't know where they're going to come from. So I'm going to give a big counterattack order to monitor this entire area with my armor division because I don't know where they're going to be.
I mean, additionally, you could put out some air recon, right?
That's a good idea. I should do that. I did actually give them that order, but we can change that. Let's see if they can. Let's see if they can spot them. I'm not sure they will. Let's just take a look over there. We have this side is very loosely guarded. We could spread out this division further, and we can use an order. We can use defense in depth, so this will just kind of scatter more units along a bigger line. And I think we're pretty fine with that. So I basically have to try to decide what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. And I've decided that we're going to stay on the defensive and we're just going to wait for the enemy Panzer division to show up. That's the plan. I could, if I feel like I need to, I could actually have these guys fall further back across the river. I think probably that's a better idea. This is swampland. We don't like fighting near the swamps. It's no good. And if we actually are concerned about the enemies coming, we could further fall back and just kind of shrink our lines a little bit. Mm. We do give up these fortifications, but I don't think, I think it's fine. Generally, smaller surface area is good. Oh, there's the 21st Panzer. They're basically attacking the exact same place we attacked before. They attacked before. You can see that our scout planes did spot a little bit back there. So our armor isn't really going to help until they actually burst through our lines. We did make our lines a bit thicker. I could actually have them withdraw if we think that they're taking a lot more losses.
Yeah,
their fortifications aren't as strong because there's a lot of fighting in this area. I think I will. So I'm going to show you this withdrawal button. Yeah. So here, let's order retreat to a safer area. So these guys are all going to fall back, and they're all pulling away.
And you can't tell them where. They're just going to go.
No, it's just a generalized, just get out of there.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So we pulled back, and I think that's fine because now our armor division is going to fight. And if they actually get any further, they will encounter another infantry division. So I don't think we're not going to lose. If we zoom out all the way, you can see our general orders, hold line, counterattack as well. And you can also just see them if you click on guys as well.
Just from when you have weather effects as well, right?
We do. Nighttime will fall, which reduces line of sight. Daytime is just normal. And we do in later have Battle of the Bulge. We have snow. We'll ground your aircraft and also lower morale and such like that.
There's a weather forecast as well. Can you, if I remember?
Yeah, it does in the daily report. It says daytime, clear weather. Yeah. So it looks like they actually have pushed out our units. They're actually fighting quite hard. Our armored division's taken a significant casualties. We should be able to hold. Again, it is our infantry division has been sitting there for a while. We can see the veterancy of enemy units. If you mouse over here, it says that they have regular veterancy. Some of our units are more elite, of our are airborne here. If we zoom into one of them, you can see that they're of elite status. Right now, our units generally aren't super elite. Okay, so they're actually pushing in pretty far, and they took our depot. That's very bad. Well, I'm going to place another depot right here because we dismantled one earlier. So I think this situation kind of requires an emergency planning session. Those tanks are pushing in hard. We're losing a lot of troops here. I'm going to order this division right here. I'm going to order them to do this. I'm going to go behind them and cut them off from supplies. I'm going to seize the ground behind them and cut them off so they will no longer be receiving supplies. And because they're back here, these units we did pull back, we now have this opportunity to go around them. We can also, I guess let's do this and then have these guys.
The one thing I wanted to show the audience at one point is, and you can kind of time this whenever you want, but I'd like to show them what a more complex order looks like as far as timing and so forth. Just if you get an opportunity, even if it's just even if you cancel it, right?
Yep, sure thing. Yep, we can do a complex order. So I'm gonna pull back this armored division. I'm gonna have them retreat, and then I'm going to have them. Maybe they can also. You know what? Let's have this armored division try this complex order. I'm going to have them fall back. I'm then going to have them drive to here, and then I'm going to order a complex attack on this ground here. So let me just delete this other previous stuff.
Yeah, when I kind of played it on my own press copy wise, it's just the timing of it, and I mean, yeah, perfect. So I just didn't know how to. I understood it visually, of course, but just how to visualize it and affect it.
So this is a little bit awkward. I guess this situation. So I ordered a complex attack. So what this means is my generals came up with a plan as best they could, and now we want to alter this. We don't know if we exactly want all of them. So ideally, what they want to do is assemble here, out. Well, you know what? Personally, I don't think we have time for scouting, so I think we're just going to delete that. We don't want it.
Perfect. Okay.
Then what they decide to do is they're going to do several breakthrough attacks, which are attacks in formation. So they're going to send one regiment this way, one regiment down here. And then once they're done, they will then seize this entire ground, just spread out and capture all of it. And I think that sounds fine. They do have one position in reserve. I don't really like that spot of being in reserve. So we can change that. Redraw order. There we go. Just reserve over there. That sounds good. Now these guys, you know what? We're going to change that order since we're not having the tanks do the tanks will do the counterattack. So I'm going to order this division to fall back, and then I'm going to order them to just go back here and just seize the ground and hold the downtown. That's what I want them to do. All right. So let's just see how that goes. Now we probably want some planes here. It looks like our planes have been shot up. Need to do more work on that. And let's just see how that goes. So I think. You can see here that this is glowing green. That means that we have a plan queued up, but we haven't clicked execute yet. So I'm going to click execute because I just want them to do it right away. And now let's get to it. So our armor is going to fall back, but unfortunately, they have been smashed. So this could take a while. We'll see. Yeah, if I want to do this complex attack, I actually should have used the retreat button to get them out of there in better order. They've actually lost half their number. So, it's not... Some of their units are going to make it through, but some of them are still just taking time to regroup. So this might be a small attack. We'll see which units get through. Okay, but you know what? We can just do the same plan here. I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to cheat for a moment. We're going to do planning. There you go. There we go. So I'm going to use, we just received a new armored division. So we just received some reinforcements. They arrived from the beach. And we're going to have them do this complex attack that that other division was trying to do, but it's just too damaged. We're going to have them do this instead. But again, we don't need that. Yeah, that looks fine. We're just going to have them do it instead. All right. So just in time, this armored division arrives. Good timing. We can see that they are really pushing hard. In fact, it looks like they have two units, actually the Panzer Lair and the 21st Panzer. That's why their attack is going so well, is that they have two Panzer divisions. So we can see our units are rapidly moving here to the assembly point is where my generals chose. and then they're going to send out units to go cut this off. Uh-oh. So they've actually captured the downtown Bayeux. They've captured it. We should be able to retake it within 24 hours. And here our units go. So we can see that our units are now pushing out. You can see actually, we're shrinking the territory. The enemy will be cut off. So that's great news for us. It looks like they have allocated some of the breakthrough attack units are going through here. All right, so now we're cutting them off. You can see, oh, there we go. Beautiful. This is exactly what we're looking for. We actually have 2 enemy panzer divisions are now cut off. And look at that supply. They had to push all the way through there, fighting the whole time. They're basically out of supply. These guys are at half supply. I guess the only reason, yeah, they did take our supply depot earlier. Okay, we've inflicted a bunch of casualties.
So are they feeding off your Twinkies, right? They're feeding off.
They did. They did take one of our supply depots. We put a new one here, but you can see that it's very empty. It's just trying to resupply as fast as it can.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting. So it does have to. Okay, so that's
so. Night just fell, and you know what? They just said, you know what? We've lost this position. We got cut off. They immediately are trying to pull back. They're just pulling all their units back. They tried. They got to the downtown. They captured it briefly, but then they were pushed back by our new arriving reinforcements. So now they're going to try to get back, and hopefully our units are in position. We'll block quite a few of them. You can see a little surrendered text there. You can see a whole bunch of battles going on. You can see there's 2 separate battles there and there. And they're stuck. It looks like they're not many of them are going to make it through this time. A few did, yeah. But that's war. You can't stop everything. You can't control everything. So it looks like these guys, the seize ground. Yeah, I'm not very happy with that positioning. That's not very good. You can see here that shell holes appear on the ground after lots of fighting and artillery barrages here. And it looks like there's a small pocket of enemies. They're kind of surrounded and trapped. And yeah, we're doing well. All right. So new orders. Let's take a look what happened.
We could probably wrap up after the end of this. Be fine.
So yeah, a bunch of battles. You can see a huge battle this corridor. Today, we actually have the opportunity. We could go on the offensive today. So I'm just going to have our units redraw some of our lines. Let's change that. You guys will hold this line. And since we have a relatively fresh armored division, we actually could go on the offensive today. So I'm just going to, yeah, we could go on the offensive today. So what I could order is just say, seize this ground, just clean up, and then do a complex attack. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. This will be fun. We can use a wait for signal. So what we can do is tell them to seize this ground right here, and then it's going to wait for us to click proceed, and then we can order a complex attack and break through.
Nice. Okay,
break through somewhere along here. And then something that we can also do as well is once I get through. Oh, that's strange. Okay, that's all right. We can break through there. And then something else we can make, and we can actually make this really in depth. If we wanted to, we can give sub orders to our units. So if we know that the enemy has these supply depots here and here, we could just try to send an armor regiment, just drive there and see what you can do.
Okay, interesting.
So I've now, up here I've highlighted the whole division. I could say, you know what, this regiment, just drive here as fast as you can. Just take them out. And then this, I can also add a simultaneous suborder and say, you know, this regiment, drive over here as fast as you can. This is very reckless. I mean, I'm risking a lot of units here, but it will pay off if I can take their supply hubs. And if we can capture them, they will feed off the supply depots that are no doubt there. We will eat their Twinkies. If we, however, fail to capture their supply depots, our units will starve and surrender, be cut off and destroyed. So this is it's a risky play, but I think because we destroyed several of their armor panzer divisions, I think we can do it. So
there's nothing you can do for the order to make it ignore the night governing of it. You know what I'm saying? Is there any way to force the units to do certain things that they wouldn't do
Hmm.
from the
Yeah, no,
night.
not really. No. We did
All right.
include like a debug option, but no. We are meant for like nighttime to be kind of a, I
Okay.
guess, a regroup kind of option.
All right.
You can see
I just didn't
here
know.
that actually, we actually can't see the enemy units. We like know that they're roughly positioned here, but I can't see their individual companies because it's nighttime. Like we literally just cannot see them. We don't know where they are. We
They
can see
could be
these guys
repositioning.
because
Yeah.
they're basically within our territory.
All right.
So yeah, let's try this. So we're gonna have these guys just clean up, seize this ground, and then we're gonna have them go on some mad dash and try this symbol. Try to get across the entire map. We're gonna try it. Our planes here have regrouped somewhat. Let's just have them do close air support. Just clean up this whole area for 24 hours. And yeah, they should just do automatic recon. All right, let's give it a shot. So you can see we've got this pocket. I've ordered multiple units now to close the pocket. These guys are going to reform the line. Some will still always slip through. We are working on. We think that enemies slip through a bit too easily. We're going to improve that so fewer of them can slip through situations like this. Oh, there we go. We captured Fritz Bayerlein. Panzerlehr is actually been stunned. That's really good for us. That means that they're any of those units are going to be stunned and won't be able to do anything and have big debuffs.
Big losses.
You can see here that we just swarms of units just moving in. They're surrendering, and we've now restored our lines. So this seized ground looks good. We can either wait for it to continue itself, or you know what? I'm just going to delete it and let's click proceed. Let's get in there. Or is that also bugged? Well, it is a beta. All right. We'll just have them assemble. All the units now are going to assemble, and then they're going to do a complex attack. In this case, we actually are going to give them a bit of time to do whatever it is they wanted to do. In this case, they're going to have 3 hours of scouting and 3 hours of clearing mines. We do see some mines over there, so perhaps that's
does that
prudent.
also provide 3 hours of rest? Even you know what I'm saying? Is it at
Yep.
least? Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't hurt
need
to
that
also
before you
just get some more supplies before we drive out.
Good.
All right. So it looks like this is going well for us. And let's just see how well. So now they're doing their thing. They're now scouting and clearing mines. It's a bit hard to see. Their scout should be out here somewhere. There we go. There he is. He's out there. And there should be engineers clearing some mines. It's a bit hard to see. There's another scout. We're just going to fast forward a little bit. Things look a little bit silly on ludicrous speed. All right, so now they're going to do their breakthrough attacks. So now they're going to send a unit out to do a breakthrough attack. Oh, I might have actually messed this up because I did delete some breakthrough attacks. They might only be using 1 regiment. Yeah, we're going to change that. Yeah, I did mess with their nice plan. So my fault. We're going to do this again. So we're just going to order a breakthrough attack just right where they were doing it. Let's just break through along here. They're going to move in formation to there. Then we will order some simultaneous assembles like we saw before. Assemble, and see how this goes. And then while they're doing that, we're just going to have the rest of the unit. We don't really want all these supply units. It's just sitting forward in their lines. We'll just have them just retreat back behind our lines. So these are all simultaneous orders. These are all going to happen at the same time. To also help us out here, we may want to also move some other units forward. In fact, we're going to have this infantry division will also just seize ground and just try to hold open a corridor and see how well they do just pushing forward, and we'll see how well they do. All right. So they should be... Oh, I didn't click execute. That's why they weren't doing it. Okay. So we did receive some new reinforcements. We've now finally been given the order to capture Khan. Unfortunately, I did just use my emergency planning session, so we're going to have to wait 12 hours. Okay, let's not turn on limited cruise speed. You can see here that these units are roughly moving in formation. However, we did just hit nighttime. All right. Ooh, we might have just encountered a bug here, actually. I'm wondering, let's just do a quick save. Let us see. Welcome to the beta.
Yeah, I mean, you have a note on there though that says saving is needs a little work. That's fine. Well, we can, quite honestly, we can probably end around here. I think you've shown a lot. I hope the audience appreciates the
Yeah,
uniqueness of
sorry.
the game.
Yeah, it
Really,
looks like it's crashed. Yep. So obviously I need to fix that. Lots of stuff.
Yeah, we're fine. That's fine. So where to from here in general terms? Because I know in development world, you don't want to say dates. Trust me, I know that. So just generally speaking, where do you see things? Are you're about 3 or 4 months out, or what?
Yeah, so we're going to do a demo for Steam Next Fest. So that'll be February 23rd. There'll be a public demo.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
yes, we should release within 4 months, I'm guessing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's very complete. It's playable.
Except for those bugs. Except for that crash.
I mean, whatever. What are you gonna do? No, I'm just kidding. But it's very functional. It's a beta. It's not alpha, and it's I think it's unique. You have to get used to the cadence of your ability to intercede, right? And I know there's going to be probably micromanagers amongst the players that are like, I don't want us to do that. I don't want to do it. But you gotta wait, and you don't want to blow your use of the emergency planning too soon either, because I would generally, at least when I was playing it, I found that you probably wanted to wait until at least probably the 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. mark to even do that. I mean, so it actually puts more impetus on you to try to think it out before you hit it, before you plan it. I also found that seize ground was your obvious go-to, but I think anything you can do in the manual later, as it's being written later, to kind of give a little guidance on when each type of order is probably best to be used or something like that might help. Just from a stance, like some games do it in stance, but this is obviously through a larger opboard system. Basically tell us what not to do.
That's right.
A lot of this is what you shouldn't do. I personally don't think you should manually intervene unless it's if you're down that low looking at the companies, then I don't know, you're not looking right. You're not looking at it right. That's the one thing about the game. I thought it was very educational in having peripheral vision. As the division commanders have to have basically peripheral vision as to.
That's right.
Because you're a corps commander, if not an army commander in this. You're not, even though you're giving orders to divisions, that was the thing I needed a little bit more guidance on, was just the timing, how to synchronize things. That's the first thing. That's the first
absolutely
thing. Your audience is going to be people who are steered towards military planning, right? So one of their first things is going to be like, okay, well, how do I synchronize this? So anything you can do. I know there's not, in a DLC or whatever. Oh, speaking of, do you have any ideas about a roadmap as far as? I know you're giving there's a pretty good amount of. I mean, it's almost the entire Western Front.
We got quite a bit of content, and you'll also be able to play as each mission. You'll also, once you beat it, you will be able to play as the Germans, but you won't be able to bring in your campaign units.
Interesting.
So it'll be kind of like inversed, which some are more interesting than others. I mean, you're on the defensive a lot.
At least in the original, the previous press copy, there was a space for multiplayer. What is the intention of that? If it's
we do plan on adding online multiplayer after launch.
Right, and
you will be able to play. You'll be able to play every mission co-op, and the way it would work is that one player, I guess, would get all the units, and then you'd gift them to the other players and say, "You take care of these 3 divisions, and I'll do these 2."
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you're basically, it's just multiple inputters, and you can only. Oh, interesting. But they're obviously sitting there. It's not like a locking mechanism where you're locked, and then that person's going. Or are you seeing what that person's doing? No.
It'd still be like the real time aspect. I guess the host would control the game speed, or they vote.
Okay. Okay. But just if it hasn't been worked out, don't worry about it. But that's
And
cool.
yeah, we would love to make DLC and expansions, but that all depends on, I guess, sales of the game.
Yeah,
So
well, I think you'll. I mean, I think you'll do well. First of all, it's a very
I hope
good.
so.
Yeah, it's a very good game. I appreciate it, Michael, and yeah, look forward to it. Look forward to it being released, and look forward to the demo, honestly, so that everybody can get a taste of it too. So that's awesome. Cool.
Right on. Well, sounds
All right.
looking forward to showing people more stuff that doesn't
Yeah.
crash.
No, it wasn't. Trust me, it wasn't that. Didn't come off that way. So cool. All right, Michael. Have a good day.
Oh, thanks, Peter. See you later.